James, do you have a sense of what needs to happen to get over this hurdle?
I know what we need to do. I know exactly what we need to do. Just we'll figure it out this summer.
You said you know exactly what you need to do. What is that?
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
I like James and Russ. It all matters what you put around them. Same thing with KD and AD. It matters what you put around them. You know these two guys going to show up and do their job. What can you put around them?
Now, a lot of you guys are here because you want my opinion on how I think Russell Westbrook and James Harden will play together. This time, they're a different duo to how they played originally, where James Harden was the point guard coming off the bench as the sixth man, and he still ran the offense and had a high usage rate, but it wasn't the James Harden that we know today. And obviously, he is not coming off the bench, and he is the star player of a Mike D'Antoni ran offense. But Russell Westbrook and James Harden, simply by looking at their past stats together, show a scary upside of what they could be in the season of 2019 and beyond. Prior to James Harden leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder, he was a very good sixth man that was able to coexist with Westbrook and obviously Kevin Durant while still posting strong numbers and obviously being still the third option on a team even as the sixth man. So let's go back to the 2011-2012 season, which gives us a glimpse of what this 2019-2020 season may be. Now, I'm using an article from heavy.com, which I can link down below if you guys want to read it, but this article basically breaks down how they played together. So the first year in which Westbrook and Harden teamed up was in 2009-2010, which was obviously James Harden's rookie season. In his first two seasons, he just averaged 9.9 points and then 12.2 points per game in his first two seasons, only logging around 23 minutes and 27 minutes. Westbrook obviously was a better player as he was older and more experienced. He posted numbers of 16 and 8 and then 22 and 8 over the 2-year stretch. But even in their final season together, whilst Kevin Durant was the main guy averaging 28 points per game, Westbrook was still 23.6 points per game and Harden was still around 17 points per game. So from a scoring standpoint, they were very good, and it turned out that they could all play together, all three of them, but we know what happened with OKC there. Obviously with James Harden leaving the team, it freed up more for Russell Westbrook and obviously for Kevin Durant, and they obviously turned into MVP candidates, and so did James Harden. But had it been Kevin Durant who left, let's say as an example, and it was Westbrook and Harden, you can just imagine how that system and their offense would have ran. Harden would have been still the point guard, and Westbrook would have been like a slashing shooting guard, even at his height of 6'3" and being undersized compared to James Harden. And I think that's a similar way to how it will be in OKC. Even if Westbrook plays the point and he drives in, Harden is a great offensive talent that can hit the shot at any point, even on a catch and shoot. But let's say it's Harden who brings the ball up and he's the guy creating the ISO offense, which he has done for the past few seasons. His usage rate is insane. Westbrook, I believe, despite his horrible shooting percentage, is still a great player that can play alongside any guy like James Harden, simply because of his slashing ability and his overall ability to score, even if he doesn't take a jump shot. But his freakish athleticism is unmatched in the NBA, even at his age of 30, and I believe that that is something that can still be used to pair up with James Harden. And at the end of the day, like Steven Jackson said, I believe if you have two former MVP candidates on the same team, it really just depends on how you build the rest of their team to support those two guys. At the end of the day, the Rockets general manager Daryl Morey had to swing for the fences and hope that Westbrook would be a better fit than Chris Paul. Now the fit on paper is not a better fit, as Westbrook is a worse shooter, but at the same time, Westbrook is also younger, more athletic, and has played with James Harden before. And when he played with James Harden before, even in his short stint in OKC when he was there, they worked well together. So a swing for the fences may be a good opportunity to see how they play next season, and I believe that they can still be a competitive team and still have a chance to win a title. I believe that both players will post up great numbers, and I believe honestly, James Harden is not a stupid player. He can adjust his game to become more of a catch and shoot player and have a little bit less of a usage rate, and I believe if that is the case, they will be very good next season. According to Woj, the Oklahoma City Thunder have agreed to trade Russell Westbrook to the Houston Rockets for Chris Paul, first round picks in 2024 and 2026, and pick swaps in 2021 and 2025. In the end, Miami probably had the better offer of Justice Winslow and Derrick Jones Jr., but they didn't have the picks, and that was something that Pat Riley didn't want to trade, his first round picks. And another reason why the Miami Heat were not going to have a good trade go through was, guess who has their picks? The Oklahoma City Thunder. The Oklahoma City Thunder already have Miami's first round picks in 2021 and 2023. So if they trade Russell Westbrook to Miami, they are making Miami Heat better, which means their picks will be worse. Plus, the Miami Heat didn't want to give up their future picks, which means that the Houston Rockets obviously, in the end, had more picks, which is simply what the Oklahoma City Thunder want. And this leaves the Oklahoma City Thunder with an insane amount of picks and even a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to build around, and they are set for the future. As for the Houston Rockets, this is a team that basically replaces Chris Paul with Russell Westbrook. And I've made a video about who could be on the move, and one of them was Chris Paul, and we kind of all knew that Chris Paul's time in Houston was going to be limited. Now, what happens from here? Where is Chris Paul going to end up? Because more than likely, Woj stated that they are trying to attempt to get Chris Paul to a preferred third team. Now, this is pretty big, as the Oklahoma City Thunder would obviously not waive Chris Paul, as he's obviously on a huge contract and would not make any sense to waive him. Plus, they can obviously get assets for him, which is exactly what they're going to do, and they don't plan to keep him in the near future, which means that he would most likely be on a new team next season. But which team could he end up on? No team is really going to trade for Chris Paul. He's owed around $125 million over the final 3 years of his contract. But now that Westbrook is in Houston, I could see Miami going for Chris Paul, even though he is an aging player. And obviously he's on a lesser contract than Russell Westbrook, but his contract is still huge. He's older, but if you pair Chris Paul with Jimmy Butler, it's not bad for a few seasons in Miami. And that was a team that I originally thought Chris Paul could end up on. I believed he could have ended up in Miami. And the thing is, he is one of those guys that would want to play in Miami, and because the Miami Heat do not have to give up as much for Chris Paul than they would for Russell Westbrook, it means they would actually have the assets to now give up for Chris Paul. But who are a few other teams that Chris Paul could end up on? Number 1, the Orlando Magic. Number 2, the Detroit Pistons. Number 3, basically all the teams that were originally going for Russell Westbrook now have the chance to get a point guard and get a guy like Chris Paul. But it's just up to them if they want to pay for his huge contract on their salary cap and see how well he plays at the age that he is. And we did know about the issues between Harden and CP3 that obviously were pushed down, but there was always some issues and we could see it on court. There were times that you could tell these two players were a little bit heated with one another. So now, having Westbrook and Harden together, who actually had a long time of playing together, which obviously means they have experience together, plus they are great friends, I think this can only be a good thing for the Houston Rockets. I think they're going to enjoy it more, and I think that Harden and Westbrook, the two MVP candidates from just a few seasons ago, is still a very, very good duo. And I think that Westbrook, in a new system and in a new offense, outside of what Billy Donovan did, I feel like it really just gives him a chance now to start over and just see how he plays as a whole. It's not so dissimilar from what he had in OKC with an MVP candidate like Paul George. Now it's just James Harden, and a big man like Steven Adams, which is just Clint Capella. But in terms of the depth, I think this is a bit better depth. You've got Eric Gordon as a 6-man, you've still got PJ Tucker. I really do like this team, and I think they can be a good team still in the Western Conference, even up against the Lakers, the Clippers, the Utah Jazz. I don't think that you can count out the Houston Rockets this season, because Russell Westbrook and James Harden together, no matter what, is always going to be scary. As for the Miami Heat, they didn't end up with Russell Westbrook, which was the most likely destination, but I'm happy because I really am a fan of Tyler Hero, and I didn't want to give up Bam Adebayo. And Winslow can develop alongside Jimmy Butler as a mentor for him, so I think that Miami is still in a good position. And if we can still have a max spot in next year's free agency and the 2021 free agency even, we could possibly get a free agent that is as good as Russell Westbrook, and we don't have to give up anybody else, and we can see our young players develop in the meantime. So as a Heat fan, obviously I would have loved to have Westbrook on my team, but I'm not mad at all, and in the future it may pay off. And to be honest, I wouldn't have wanted to give up more than Pat Riley was offering them, so in the end, I'm glad. With that said, I really want to know what you guys think. Do you think the fit between Russell Westbrook and James Harden joining forces in a pretty stacked Western Conference, how far do you think that they can go together? Do you think the Houston Rockets can still be a top 3 seed? And do you think that they can make some noise in the playoffs? They're obviously both very ball dominant guards, but at the end of the day, I'm sure they can make it work out as they've done it together before. This will be very interesting, and I can definitely see Russell Westbrook playing off of James Harden and doing a better job of it than what Chris Paul did in Houston. With that said, if you enjoyed this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you could drop a like. If you're new around here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to turn on notifications and follow me on Instagram, and I will catch you guys in my next video.